Okay, everybody, welcome back. The the Cowboys and Sports Talks. You're looking live at it. We're back after a catastrophic outing that just kind of I had to take my hair down and go to sleep early and everything. It was bad. So,
I didn't have to take my hair down.
well, I had to take my hair. Man, listen, we got a lot to talk about. I mean, hey, man, so this is episode 11, and man, yesterday was just pathetic.
So we normally talk about showed up and showed out. Didn't nobody show up and show out yesterday, so we ain't
Mm-mm.
got to worry about that. But we do got to talk about a lot of guys that I'm going to call it a no call, no show, starting with the coaches. But you want to start with some of McCarthy's comments from his press conference.
Yeah. I just feel like, with his press conference, I would just cue the tape, but it's all right. I feel like with his press conference, he just basically he was just lackadaisical. He basically was just lackadaisical, saying that it's the first game. This type of game happens in the season, and you just live from it and learn from it. But and a lot of people is talking about who to blame, and a lot of people was talking about how bad the defense was, and it's a historically bad defense, and I mean bad thing, and they can't stop the run, and it's a Shanahan scheme. It's just we haven't been able to get over it. But the thing about the defense is, to me, it's just like we knew Dan Quinn. I mean, we knew that the installation of Zimmer's offense was Zimmer's defense was going to come with some hiccups. We didn't know it was going to be this bad ever. I didn't think it would, but also that was to be expected that it would be some hiccups along the way. Some personnel decisions that have to be figured out. While Overshawn wasn't on the field, it's just mind boggling. Talking about he don't play in the base defense, so it's just like okay, well, first of all, what kind of scheme is that? And what kind of that doesn't make any sense to me. It's kind of like having a package for Deuce. It's just like so you have a package for Overshawn to where like he has to this play has to be called in order for him to get on the field. But
Well, the thing that was disappointing, and I didn't hear the whole press conference, is the second part of that question. If you're a reporter covering the team, should have been Overshawn played in Cleveland last week in every defense that you had. So he was not playing last week in the nickel or in the he was just playing in the regular defense. So that answer was just laughable, and it should have been like laughter in the press room when he said it because he just played last week and he played basically the whole game.
it's like, what are you talking about? He has one. He just it's like okay, so that and then the offense. Now I've been saying all see now everybody's saying both things. Everybody's talking about the offense and everybody's talking about the defense. But the thing with the defense is the defense is going to get better. We know the pieces are there. You know now the defensive tackles they didn't show up, but nobody showed up, and it was really bad. It's going to get better. They have no choice, and they spent so much draft capital and so much off-season money and dedication, and just to the defense, getting a new coordinator, new draft pieces, new linebackers, free agency. They just made the defense a shiny new toy, but offense. They just left it looking putrid. They didn't do anything to help Dak this offseason. Nothing. Now they drafted two linemen, but in the NFL, drafting two linemen, that's a 50-50 thing. You don't know if they're gonna work out. One can be Taco and the other one can be Tyler Smith. You don't know. So they didn't do anything to help the offense. In this kind of game, it could have easily been a shootout. And you know, when you play complementary football, the offense plays out the defense, defense plays out the offense. If the offense takes a step back, defense has to step forward and get the offense back on the field. And if the offense takes a step back, then the defense has to step up and get the other team off the field and vice versa. So it's like they didn't do any of that. So the offense, but to me, was more glaring and was more disrespectful to the fans is the offense. That was just totally disrespectful. It's just like,
So let's talk about the offense. So here's the issue with the offense. So they started the game with Deuce Vaughn and Turpin in the backfield, and they ran horizontal plays, throwing the ball sideways to Turpin, and they ran Deuce up the A gap, of course. It's just kind of funny to me that they went an entire week putting this offensive game plan in place, and you had coaches on the coaching staff that looked at the game plan that had Zeke and Rico on the sideline to start the game in lieu of Turpin and Deuce. And nobody said, wait a minute, this is really a bad idea. We're playing a physical defense. We don't need to get the ball to Turpin or really Deuce for that matter to start the game around the line of scrimmage. You got to start the game with your physical players. That's Zeke and Rico. So it was just a foolhardy plan to start with. And this is what McCarthy does. What McCarthy's going to do, he's going to get himself fired during the season just doing stupid stuff. And he does this every year he's been here. He started off last year doing the same type of thing. He made his adjustment, right at the ship. So the good thing is he got this really silly game out early, but there's just no way in the world you can explain starting the game with Zeke and Rico not being a factor in the lineup. That was just you're just asking for trouble. Then the plays you're running, why do they consistently run Deuce in the A gap? They will not get the ball to Turpin downfield. Stop giving the ball to Turpin around the line of scrimmage, and especially you take somebody that fast and you're running him full speed toward the sideline to the short side of the field. He doesn't even have enough room to use his skills. He's running full speed toward the sideline. It's not a whole
now
lot to work with over there.
it's not. And you know that now let's talk about secret weapons. It's not a lot to work with when you're doing that. So, and then what was another thing is, how come this is why the Joneses are not football guys. They are great marketers, and they can do big they can do they can build big buildings.
Billion
And
dollar mile.
yeah, the $1 billion mile is awesome. Yeah, that's great. But no, that's great for for tourists, but for fans, I mean, well, it's cool. But when it comes to building a football team and actually managing a football team, they're clueless. Mike Bassick today, shout out to Mike Bassick, shout out to the fan. Mike Bassick today said he just doesn't think that they understand what they are watching. Like it just doesn't. They don't understand what's happening in the game. Like they don't understand that you need certain things to make a team work. And I kind of that really is a shot, but it does make a lot of sense because it's just like this. If you get the ball on the 20-yard line and then you run 7 plays forward and you get down to the 10-yard line, what in your brain makes you say that 3 plays in a row, I'm going to run the ball sideways now? How does that happen? How do you constantly? And that's why for everyone that's talking about, oh no, the offense, no, we need to be talking about the defense. No, we need to be talking about the offense because the defense is going to be better. But the offense, they moved the ball down to the red zone 3 times in a row, 4 times in a row. And every time they got to the red zone, instead of them scoring a touchdown, they ran 3 sideways plays and kicked a field goal. And those field goals was not straight down the middle either. So it's like, what is McCarthy thinking? And then it's just like we had several plays where, the missed play to Zeke, that was a walk-in touchdown. Brooks. So one of our secret weapons was Flournoy. He wasn't even active on the 53 man roster.
You can't convince me that he won't be active next week because Brooks is getting toasted today, and he should. I never understood the fascination with Brooks. Brooks, all of the plays that Brooks is getting, first of all, those should be Tolbert plays. Now Tolbert is not lighting the world on fire, but Tolbert is just a better player than Brooks. He's just more solid. He's more reliable, and Tolbert, he's just a more talented player, but somehow, some way, somebody in the front office on the coaching staff, they got on this Brooks train. They've been trying to pump him up since training camp. They last week they had him featured in Cleveland. He caught a pass going toward the left sideline, just looked uncoordinated, just like he was having problems just understanding where he was on the field. And you saw that again yesterday. He just, kind of lost his balance on a route. And then there was one play he's supposed to have been blocking. He just let the guy go, and that was a big play as well. So
If he
they
would have blocked that guy, Brandon Cook would have scored a touchdown, and that would have either tied the game or would have put us down by 3 points. That's how
now
crucial that play was.
now what the Cowboys do. This goes back to McCarthy, just trying to get himself fired. They will look at what Brooks did yesterday, and they'll come right back with him next Sunday. That's
Hmm.
what they do.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Go to
Florida,
him on the first play.
yeah, Flournoy should be active. Your receivers starting Sunday should be CD, Cooks, Tolbert, and Flournoy. Now Tolbert, he's a third receiver, and that's what he's going to be for now. And then when Flournoy kind of gets a little bit more experience and get his sea legs, Flournoy can come in. All the things that you're doing with Brooks, those are Flournoy plays. That's what he should be doing. So they got to get Brooks out of the lineup, and then I think what they need to do is they need to get Ferg ready and Stevens. You need to get as many weapons into the offense as you can. What we saw yesterday, they just don't have enough weapons. When you take uh, Ferguson out of the lineup, John Stevens hasn't been playing, and then you essentially took Rico and Zeke out of the game yesterday. You did that on
Yeah.
your own.
Now that brings me to my next point, and this is a rabbit hole that I'm gonna go down. Now I can tell you, I can name 5 explosive players on defense off the top of my head. I can name 5 of them right now. Micah,
Mhm.
D Law, um,
Diggs,
Diggs, Overshawn, um, Wilson,
Kendrick can
Bell,
be
Kendrick.
Bell.
Yeah, all of them. Those are all explosive players. When we talk about the offense, I can only think of 2, and 3. I'll give Ferg B. He's an explosive player. CD and Dak. Other than that, you have no skill position firepower on your offense. Now, all 32. Now, the Texans. We watched the Texans last night, and we're rooting for the Texans. We want them to win. Now, they got they got who they got? They got Diggs. They got Joe Mixon. They got Tank Dell. They got their quarterback,
And Dalton Schultz is a good player.
Dalton Schultz. Nico, is it Collins?
What's number 12, the receiver? What's his name?
I think it's I think
Tall
it's
guy.
I think it's Nico Collins, right?
He's a number one receiver. Yeah. I didn't see Diggs a lot last night.
I don't know what happened to him, but
Yeah.
they got Collins, Diggs, Tank Dell, Mixon, and Schultz. Now they got Mixon and Diggs this offseason.
Yeah.
So I did my thing that I do on Over the Cap and Spotrac. It was totally possible for the Cowboys to do the exact same thing and pay them the exact same thing that they're getting paid and still be under the cap and still sign Dak and still sign CD. And we will be in
Yeah.
the same spot we're in right now with no loss. Those picks that they gave up for Stephon, we wouldn't even miss those picks.
Yeah, but that's not what they do. That's the you talking about the football man. I told you in one of our early episodes, when they first bought the team, people in Texas, they did not like them because they were from Arkansas. They just didn't like that. Of course, they didn't like them because they fired Tom Landry too. But what you kept hearing consistently from beat writers and the people that were covering the team, that these are not football guys. Now, over the years, they really sort of kind of uh, got around that by doing some things. And when you're running a team, you're gonna have some hits and misses, and they have had a lot of hits over the years. But sometimes you really just kind of gotta bear down and make good football decisions. And they their misses have been bigger than their hits, and the end result is, you don't have an NFC Championship game in 28 years, and
I'm
some of the
about to
things that they
say.
can do, they could easily, like you just said, there's no reason we shouldn't have Joe Mixon or Derrick Henry on this team. They were just
Or
there for the taking,
that was there for a second. And
or
you look at the
Diggs.
or Diggs. You look at the Eagles. You can name 5 or 6 explosive players on their offense, and a couple they got this offseason. Saquon.
We could have used Saquon. Now, well, we got to talk about what our offense, and then we're gonna switch over to defense too here. But one of the main problems with our offense is our running scheme. People are criticizing our running backs, including Deuce Vaughn, criticizing, not so much criticizing Rico, but the problem is our running scheme is antiquated. Our running scheme does not run guys open. But you see these other teams with the West Coast offense, the Mike Shanahan offense, and Mike Shanahan was the coach. He started out as an assistant coach with the 49ers during their reign when they were competing with us in the 90s. Mike Shanahan was their offensive coordinator. Then he went to Denver. John Elway was 0-2 in Super Bowls. So Mike Shanahan was hired as a head coach, installed his offense, and they went out and won 2 straight Super Bowls with John Elway. And what he did was his running scheme is such that it doesn't really matter who his running back is. His offense schemes open the running back. So he had every year he would have a different running back, a no-name running back. As a matter of fact, Terrell Davis was like a 6th-round pick, but he made him a Pro Bowler with his scheme. So one of the problems that we talked about this yesterday, McCarthy is running the West Coast offense. So all of the West Coast offense coaches or schemes, they're apples. They're red apples, okay? They're all apples. McCarthy is a green apple.
Mm-hmm.
And what he's doing, as far as like if you had a company that was producing apples, they're using all of the technology and latest innovation to produce and pick the apples off the tree. McCarthy is a green apple, and he's literally just standing under the tree using his hands, picking the green apples off one by one. That's what he's doing. So
Mm-hmm.
he's
And
not
then
helping our running backs at all with this antiquated running scheme that he has. The offensive coordinator, a lot of people know this, he's 80 years old. He was a coach that was here with Tom Landry when Tom Landry was here. That's his
offensive line
offensive,
coach.
that's Mike Solari. He's 80 something years old. That's his offensive line coach. So Mike McCarthy, he's not helping his running backs with the scheme.
And then to go back to that, like I said, yeah, the rest of the West Coast offenses, they're all using and their ownership. They're all picking from multiple trees at the same time. They're picking red apples from multiple trees.
Yeah.
McCarthy and the ownership, they standing in front of one tree. They not
Well,
using the free agent
well
tree.
now
They
now the ownership part, to his credit, Mike McCarthy don't have no control of that. This is what he signed up for.
yeah,
But the part where he's dropping the ball is his scheme. You saw the 49ers last Monday night. Their second string running back just came in and lit it up because in their system, the running back, it really doesn't matter. Now, if you got a really, really good running back like Christian McCaffrey, then you're going to be like Super Bowl contenders. But they can literally, I tell you this right now. If you put Deuce Vaughn or Rico Dowd on the 49ers, they would be just gaining yards like nothing because
yeah,
that's what their scheme does.
that's
Mike
correct.
McCarthy does not have he hasn't updated. He's had a chance to update his scheme. So
Mm-hmm.
yesterday we saw one of the Mike Shanahan tree coaches, Kubiak. Now Kubiak, he's the son of Gary Kubiak. Now Gary Kubiak, he played for Texas A&M back in the 80s. He was quarterback. Gary Kubiak was John Elway's backup quarterback. Gary Kubiak became a assistant coach under Mike Shanahan, the dad. And then Gary Kubiak, he got a couple of jobs. He was the head coach at Austin, not Austin. He was the head coach at Houston for a few years. But Gary Kubiak was the offensive coordinator when Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl with Denver. But so Gary Kubiak's son is the offensive coordinator of the Saints. He's off the Mike Shanahan tree. Same system, same scheme. And Jerry has not, over the years, done anything to try to get these type of coaches. Jerry has in his mind, he's creating his own tree. Jason Garrett, that was Jerry's tree.
Scott
Uh,
Linehan.
Scott Linehan, Kellen Moore, that's
Mhm.
Jerry's tree. Jerry has in his mind that he's a tree, but his tree, you have no NFC Championship games in 28 years.
Mm. And by the way, nothing. He will tell you that what they're doing is working.
No,
That's how baffling he is. It's just like you literally. I literally listened to Mike McCarthy. I mean, not Mike McCarthy, but Jerry. It's really is Steven, because Steven is the one that he says it was such pride and such arrogance. So to me, it's just like you can literally just if you're the person interviewing Steven and Jerry, you can literally just let them talk for 30 minutes and at the end just say, and you haven't won in 28 years. So what are you going to change?
nobody ever says that, and they're not. And see, when I hear them talk, I think about all of the beat writers that covered the team back in the day. Like they had like Frank Lux, you had Gary Moore, who's with, I think Gary Moore's with the New York Times now. What they all said, they kept saying these are not football guys, and to their credit, they won Super Bowls. He picked Jimmy Johnson. They had success, and you got to give them credit. But where they have faulted is just they just haven't. What the one of the main issues with Jerry, he just haven't been able to get this coaching hire right. He's had multiple opportunities to get the coaching hire right, but he just hasn't. Someone told him, and I still ain't figured it out. Someone told him that Jason Garrett was a Mike Shanahan or one of these type of coaches.
Mm.
But I don't know where they got that from because
And then
Jason
Jason
Garrett had
Garrett
no history of being a great coach.
and then Jason Garrett, somebody else told him that Kellen Moore was one of them guys.
Yeah, so that was again you're the same thought process that went into Garrett. So Kellen Moore was the new Garrett. And by the way, we're gonna do a show. See, a lot of Cowboy fans thinking Kellen Moore, we're done with him. What people don't understand is,
We're still
if
running his offense.
we're not running his offense. We're running Mike Shannon. We're running Mike McCarthy's offense. He's just running a poor version of it. But what I was going to say is, what people don't understand is, if Mike McCarthy gets fired, one of the first people that Jerry's going to interview is Kellen Moore. You heard it here first. That's going to happen.
Oh man,
Jerry, in his mind, thinks that Kellen Moore is a Shanahan type coach. He really thinks that he's just a brilliant, coach in the making. That's what Jerry thinks.
boy wonder.
A boy wonder. So that's going back to the football hire, and what McCarthy is doing. He's setting himself up to be fired midseason. I told you when we first started that I don't think McCarthy's gonna get fired midseason because I thought our record was gonna be, really good enough. You can't really justify him if he goes, 12-5, 11-6. But boy, if you look up here 7 or 8 weeks from now, and they're 3-5 or 4-4, the seat is gonna get very hot. And I already have the people that he should interview immediately, and it's not Belichick. He should interview Ben Johnson from Detroit, and the other coach, I think his name is Bob Slowick. He's the offensive coordinator from Houston. They're both Shanahan guys. They're both off that tree. And those are the innovative guys that this organization, their problem is they're not like forward thinking. They're not innovative. They're not thinking ahead. And so that's really just kind of been their downfall. And we call it the $1 billion mile. When you look at their businesses, everything with them is innovative, it's forward thinking. They had the best real estate deals, the best companies. They're like they the best in the world. You can put them up there with some of the stuff that's happened over in Dubai and countries like that. But when it comes to this football team, they just haven't been forward thinking. They haven't been innovative, and it's reflected in the coaches, Also, it's reflected in what they pay their coaches. They're not really getting the best coaches because they don't really want to pay the coach either.
See,
So,
now, three things I want to say that fit into that mold. Number one, I feel like the Joneses are too stubborn to get out of their own way. They're too stubborn to admit that they just don't know what the hell they're doing. They just don't want it. They cannot admit that. It's kind of like when you tell a lie, you have to stick to it. And, you know, because you can't, because you don't want to just have crap all over your face. You just have to, no matter what. You can't just, now that you said that you don't believe in acquiring high price free agents like the rest of the league does. Now you stick to it, even though you know that that is terrible and that's missing from your organization. And then um, the second thing is, maybe it's also has to do something with, like, they don't want to they don't want to agree that the Shanahan offense is a problem for them, even though it's like they know that it's a problem. They don't want to face that and say, yeah, it's a problem, and they don't want to go out and get a Shanahan guy because it's just like it's too beneath them. Because I can't think of anything in my brain that says, why don't we have Clint Kubiak? That, to me, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, how come we don't have Bob Slowick? I mean, to me, that just doesn't it just doesn't compute in my head. And then the third thing I was going to say is this: I said on our last show that what we were going to see is a whole bunch of new faces and a whole bunch of off the wall things, because this is what the Cowboys do on opening day. Did I say
mhm,
that?
you did.
They,
And we saw it with Turpin and Deuce in the starting lineup.
and we saw it with my guy returning punts. I mean, returning kickoffs.
Yeah, one yeah.
What is Wanye doing returning kickoffs?
Well, what you're trying to do there, you're trying to justify having guys active. Now, Wanye is not a good example to do that because Wanye should be playing on defense. So what they try to do, anybody that's active, they're trying to use them in some way. But no, that was a very bad idea.
You got Brooks. Tell me, when has Brooks ever played in the first quarter of a game?
Brooks was playing pretty early in the Cleveland game. I call that to your attention.
Why?
That's the $1 million question. He shouldn't be.
I mean, nothing in training camp, nothing in the games, nothing last year, nothing says that he should be playing. Nothing.
No,
He
the, the,
wouldn't.
the, the guy that they were really developing is Tolbert. And Tolbert is making progress. Now Tolbert, here's what I had to say about our receivers. And I mentioned this in one of our earlier shows. Tolbert and Brooks on a good team, they will be fourth and fifth receivers. On a good team, Cooks will be a third receiver. Okay. We're missing a number 2 receiver.
On
But
the
with
Eagles, they would be fourth and fifth.
yeah, and so but the Cowboys, they have in their mind that Tolbert and Brooks are third receivers. They're not. They're fours and fives. But Tolbert is clearly, in my opinion, better than Brooks. So
I mean, that's not,
they're taking plays away from Tolbert, and Tolbert is not lighting the world on fire, but he's just better than Brooks. And you saw Tolbert make some plays yesterday.
a real
So
good play too. And then it's
what they need to do with the receivers is simple. You got CD, Cooks, Tolbert, and Flournoy. Those are your receivers.
mm,
And Dak, he's really confident in Tolbert. They have a chemistry. Dak doesn't
mhm,
have a chemistry with Brooks.
mm-mm.
And he's
He
definitely
doesn't.
not and after yesterday, he definitely is not going to have. But look here. I would bet you $100 they have Brooks out there again Sunday.
I said they're gonna go to him the first play of the game.
I wouldn't be shocked.
It's just like
And I don't think
they.
Deuce is going to be active. So Sunday, I think again, you need to have your running backs have to be. Rico is really your main guy for the moment.
Mhm,
Zeke, I love Zeke on short yardage and third down. Love it. And
mhm.
that should be your offense. And then you got to figure out a way to get Ferguson healthy and get John Stevens healthy. We saw Schoon yesterday. He, give him some credit. He made a couple of catches, but he also had some plays that are just normal Schoon plays. He catches a ball on a line of scrimmage and gets tackled.
And And then
he had one play. He caught it. He was running full speed.
to
He
the
ran
sideline.
straight toward the sideline. He didn't have no ability to cut back upfield.
It's
It's
like,
like
man,
so.
it's just like,
Yeah,
man.
but McCarthy, he is looking at getting himself, and I'm gonna say it here right now. I already believe that Jerry knows he's not going to bring McCarthy back. What's going to happen is when this season is over, no matter how it ends, if they went go to the NFC Championship game, what McCarthy's going to do, he's going to tell Jerry he wants to be in the top 10 paid coaches in the NFL. Jerry is not going to do that because first of all,
Mm,
he don't want to pay coaches anyway. But Jerry knows that McCarthy is not, you know, Jerry's looking at the scheme like we are. Jerry's looking at what has happened the last few years. So I think they're gonna just part ways. And then my biggest concern is he's gonna interview Kellen Moore. He's gonna interview Zim. The other two guys that we mentioned, they were saying last offseason that Ben Johnson, he was one of the reasons that Ben Johnson didn't get a job is because he was telling teams, him and his agent, before he interviewed, he had a salary demand. He was saying, I want to walk in the door one of the highest paid coaches. So you can probably cross him off. Now Bob Slowick, you know, he would be the guy, but Cowboy fans better get ready. They will absolutely hire Kellen Moore.
mm-hmm. They will. I know it. I mean, right now they could trade right now for Coop, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Damon Pierce for the Texans. And he's a good running back.
So that's probably what you want to research for one of our upcoming shows. You need to start researching what receivers we could trade for, and it has to be a realistic trade. You know,
Mm.
because we don't need to give up a number one or two. We don't even really need to give up a three. People in the league make trades and they giving fifth, sixth, 7th round picks.
What did
Everybody
Trayvon
except
Diggs
Dallas.
get traded for? Because he was what was what did
Stephon
Stephon do?
Diggs,
Yeah.
just look it up. It wasn't a lot.
Mm-mm.
So I don't know what DeAndre Hopkins is doing. I don't know if he will be the guy. Devontae Adams, I would be. Now Devontae Adams, the Raiders are probably going to ask for a lot because he's all they got. I'm not trading a one or a two probably for him.
Oh no. Mm-mm.
If the Raiders asked me for a three, I would consider it. But you got to look at some more realistic trade possibilities.
This would be my baseline. My baseline would be Stephon Diggs trade. That's my baseline. He got traded for a 2024 6th-round pick, a 2025 5th-round pick, and a 2nd-round selection in a 2025. Says above trading Diggs to Houston along with a 2024 6th-round pick, a 2025 6th-round exchange for a 2nd-round selection in 2025.
I mean, that's a little steep. Now, I probably would have made that trade. So
for Stephon Diggs, yeah, I would have too.
But that's what you're gonna have to do. So we got the trade deadline. They could very easily trade for a running back or a receiver. But your return on investment too. By the time a guy get in from the trade deadline, by the time they get really accustomed to the offense and get playing, you're kind of running out of runway. So if they're gonna make a trade, if they smart, they would just do it now. But no, the receiving core, it ought to be just glaringly obvious to them. They just paid Dak all this money. You don't have enough weapons on offense. Now, when you get John Stevens and Ferguson back, that's going to absolutely help. But you can't trade for a running scheme. Your running scheme is just messed up. You're not creating running lanes for your running backs.
Mm-mm. And then what's even more damning about that is we seen what Cooper Beebe and Tyler Guyton can do getting to the second level and mauling people downfield. They're not being put in position to do that either.
No, they didn't want Osiris Torrance because the rumor was they didn't like his feet, they didn't like his hips. Well, you could have just drafted him because you're not using that anyway with your linemen. They're not really doing a whole lot as far as movement. Now, McCarthy absolutely can start scheming some of this stuff up, but he has to actually get in there and do it. And McCarthy, shoot, I think it's just he just don't have that juice, that fire to go in. Last year when they lost to the 49ers, they lost to Arizona early in the season. CD and Dak and some other guys had to go to McCarthy and just say, "Hey, look, this ain't working. We got to do something like now." They need to be having that conversation with him like today.
Mm-hmm.
He finna do the exact same thing. In this game Sunday, it's not going. It's going to be a similar game. You know, I don't think Buffalo. I mean, not Buffalo. Baltimore has the skill players that New Orleans have, but the problem with Dallas is whatever problem you're having, you play Dallas and you fix it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening with us. You know,
Yeah. Sunday, I can very easily see two things happening. I mean, in this cliche, I can see us getting blew out, but I can also see us winning and then acting like the whole team is fixed. And then
I
I
don't.
can also see them winning, and then they're gonna talk about Baltimore like Baltimore is not a winning team.
I don't think I don't see us getting blown out. I can see us winning, but I can also see us just losing convincingly. They always bounce back from a real bad game. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a competitive game. So, so we can go ahead and wrap. So tomorrow we can just talk about the defense and do a whole show on the defense,
Yeah.
and just kind of we'll just kind of build up our content. So tomorrow we'll do the defense, and then maybe on Wednesday we can start looking at Baltimore because the defense needs a show by itself.
Yeah. Defense
And
need to show by itself, and you know the defense needs to show by itself. We gave most of the time today to the offense, and we addressed that. Now the defense, they need to show by themselves, and especially when it comes to the Shanahan offense, because to me, it's just like how I feel after every season where we lose or get blew out, or after every game that we get blew out. To me, the older I get as a fan, like to me, I don't care if they beat Baltimore. Hooray, hooray! The next game that I want them to win that's going to matter to me is a Shanahan offense team. That's it. I don't care about they can go undefeated for the rest of the season as long in my book, as long as they beat the 49ers with the Shanahan offense. And who else got that offense that we play?
so I'm looking at the schedule.
Um, the Bengals.
Yeah, the Bengals do.
We play them.
We do.
They got to beat the Bengals.
The next team we play with that offense is the Lions.
We got to beat the Lions. We got to be, and then there's another thing too. And I mean, it really
Well,
doesn't.
you're actually going to get it. You got the Lions and the 49ers back to back, so that's it right there. Then you play the Texans after the Eagles. So you're gonna be playing this offense in the game I'm looking at. You got it 4 more times, but
Let me ask you a question. Now, if you Jerry Jones or Stephen Jones or anybody else in their right mind that run a football program, and you say to yourself, let's just look at these analytics. So Andy Reid, the Bengals, the 49ers,
the Rams
the Rams, Detroit, they all seem to be always in the playoffs.
in the NFC Championship game or Super Bowl,
And what do they? And what's the one thing that they have in common?
they running the same scheme. And then ask yourself this: how many NFC Championship games does the Garrett Linehan Kellen offense have in the last 28 years?
0.
So you got the $1 billion mile, but the $1 billion mile, they win in the Super Bowl every day out in Frisco.
Every day.
He building some stuff down here in Waxahachie.
Mm.
But your football team, your analytics is not telling you. And I told you the other day, I work for a Fortune 500 company. I was a manager. The company that I worked for, our main competitor was UPS. UPS, they had way more money than we had. There was a time when I first started working, we actually thought UPS was going to put us out of business. But you know why we were able to compete with them and really get ahead of them in a lot of different
Innovation.
areas? It was innovation. We had the most innovative people. They were never satisfied with being okay. They were always
Always
looking for
changing.
the technology, the speed, the precision, and it was the slogan was it was change. It's every day. You never could get comfortable because every day, every week, we gonna figure out some kind of way we gonna get better at what we're doing. And this company is one of the biggest brands in the world that I work for. But that's where the Cowboys have fallen short. They just with the front office with the football team, they just haven't done that.
They went backwards.
Yeah.
So, um,
So that's
man,
that's
that
that's the thing. And
yeah,
hopefully, they grooming some of the grandkids. They gonna be running the team, and that's hopefully that's what they gonna bring. But Steven and Jerry,
oh,
man,
we already know that.
they not there.
Listen,
But see, what they gotta do, and we gonna do a show on the chicken and the egg theory with you and Uncle Eric, your Uncle Eric on one side of the coin. I'm on the other side. Y'all just say that no innovative good coach wants to coach for Jerry. My argument is they just don't know how to hire that coach.
well, I don't think that it's a possibility. I don't
Well,
think
that's
that. I
what.
think that the innovative coach comes in and they tell them, no, you're not doing that. This is the way that we're doing things. And if you don't want that, we're not interviewing you. So bye.
Well, that's you and your Uncle Eric side of the argument, and we're gonna get one of us is gonna be proven right at the end of this season because they're gonna have the option to hire an innovative young coach,
Mm-hmm.
or they're gonna have the opportunity to hire
Kellen
Mike
Moore.
Zimmer or Kellen Moore.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna interview Ron Rivera.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what's the coach of the Jets? He's on TV. They interviewed him back this offseason. Rex Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
There ain't nothing innovative or fresh about Ron Rivera, Rex Ryan. Uh, Zimmer is innovative. He got some good schemes, and I think we're gonna see that.
Mm-hmm.
But you shouldn't be talking to Zimmer about a head coaching job.
Mm-mm.
But that's
No,
what. So one of us is gonna be proven right at the end of this season. Because I
yeah,
don't think McCarthy's coming back either way.
me
Jerry,
neither.
Jerry, I think no. Mm-mm. And
Nah,
Jerry,
he ain't.
if he hires Kellen Moore, Jerry ain't gotta pay him.
I'm about
Kellen
to
Moore
say,
will be one of the lowest paid players in the coaches in
and
the league.
Kellen Moore would be okay with that.
Absolutely.
And Mike McCarthy, just for y'all that don't know, Mike McCarthy is the least paid head coach in the NFL today. He makes the least.
Yeah.
So
And you getting what you pay for.
yeah, straight up.
But hopefully
Mhm.
I'll be proven right, and they'll just hire Ben Johnson or Bob Slowick or
Yeah.
Clint Kubiak.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll see. So let's go ahead and wrap, and then we'll come back tomorrow and talk about the defense. That's gonna be a boy.
Yeah.
We got
So
some issues over there on defense that they got about 24 hours to fix.
yeah, and then before we leave, it's just personnel. Who the personnel is just jacked up on both sides of the ball. So we can talk about that tomorrow too. The personnel with the defense, like the fact that Overshawn wasn't playing in the game, and the fact that we didn't see none of the other hard hitters like Bell. We didn't
Yeah,
see them.
that's
Like,
that's a that's a whole show.
yeah, okay. So, all right, y'all. So it's been real. We still trying to get it together. We got hugged out yesterday. We was wrong about everything, and so we just trying to figure it out, and we just trying to get our lives back on track and figure out what's going on. And so y'all stay tuned. I know y'all on this ride with us. One thing that makes it better for us, I know for me at least, is that everybody feels bad. It ain't we ain't alone. We used to be alone for a long time. It just felt like the whole week was messed up. But
Yeah,
now it's like everybody's messed up.
I'm not.
Well,
See,
I
I'm
am.
I'm I'm the Cowboy OG. I done got way past all of that.
I
I'm
mean,
I'm I'm
you
up
know,
there, so I'm like, hey,
I'm depressed.
I'm a fan. But man, I done. I'm way. I'm the. That's why I call myself the Cowboy OG. I done seen this broken record, so I don't be like I used to be back in the day. So we'll get you there.
Yeah, hopefully it be, well,
But I'm die hard now.
yeah, I mean, yeah, no doubt. But I just keep drinking Kool-Aid and drinking the Kool-Aid, and you know,
No. Well,
so y'all comment, like, and subscribe, and do y'all
yeah.
thing, and we got some good stuff coming up. So y'all stay tuned, and y'all ride with us.
And tell family and friends about our show. Have them go in and subscribe, and we're
Shout,
trying to grow our content, and
shout
appreciate
out
you
to my
guys.
aunt. She says, shout out to my aunt. She said she couldn't wait to watch the show. So
Yesterday.
yeah, she said I can't wait to watch the
Yeah.
podcast after we
Hmm.
got beat to smithereens. So
Yep.
shout out to her, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.
Peace.